everybody? It's your boys TJ, Ben, and Anthony of the Coach Potatoes podcast, coming back with episode 3 this week. It is September 15th, 2018. It's Saturday, a little change of pace from our recording schedule, but we all got together tonight. So this week we're going to be talking a little bit of recap from week 1 and kind of the earlier podcast where we talked about what we're thinking, what we're looking at for this coming week in week 2 of the NFL season. But first, before we get into that, we're going to dive into this big boxing match that just happened with Canelo Alvarez and Triple G. So I can't disagree more with how this fight got decided. So the final cards, it was 115, 113 from 2 of the judges for Canelo, and then 114 all on the 3rd judge's card. I don't know. I feel like that fight was close. Don't get me wrong. It was a good bout. Canelo looked really good. Triple G looked awesome. They were going, blow for blow. Triple G was definitely more jab centric, and Canelo was more power punch. But in a fight where it's basically like a draw in everybody's minds going into those kind of last 3 rounds, and Triple G has Canelo rocked in 2 of those rounds, how does that guy lose the fight?
I mean, that's what happens when you have rounds. You can. Whatever happens in a round, you say, he was rocked, which I agree. He wasn't there. He wasn't throwing anything. He was kind of just taking it. And then, nothing from Canelo. 2 great recoveries both the times he got rocked. But the thing is, Triple G rocked Canelo that round, so you give it to him 10-9. But what happened there, score-wise, doesn't affect 1-0, 1-4, doesn't affect anything. What happened up to that point? Yes, it affects Canelo, because he got rocked, so now he's more susceptible of being rocked, which he did the very next round. But the thing is, you look at it round by round. I think what you're confusing, and it happens all the time, even when we watch MMA, you name it, any fighting sport, you look at the fight as a whole and you go, well, I think Triple G won it because he's the one that got the rocks. But the thing is, you go round by round. He won those 2 rounds, I would agree, where he rocked Canelo, and then the other ones were a toss-up. The thing, and where I agree with you, is that when Triple G won some of those rounds, he won them decisively, right? You knew, yeah. Well, except for that one judge on the sideline. He rocks Canelo, and then we're going to give it to Canelo. Why not? But the thing is, I didn't. But I think of all the rounds, Triple G won some of those rounds decisively. The rest of them, they scored at 115, 113 in favor of Canelo. Those rounds, I think, were won by a hair. They were very close. He didn't win any rounds decisively. Triple G did.
Well, so basically, and correct me if I'm wrong, if I misunderstood, but it's like, we'll say through the first 8 rounds, it was basically 4-4. We're at an impasse as far as going into these last 3.
I could see that. Yeah. All those rounds except for the ones you're mentioning, I would say.
And then we get into these late rounds with Triple G, both from this pure spectator standpoint and the announcer standpoint, who up until that point were like, oh, this is a toss-up, but I think Canelo's got the edge right now. All of a sudden, they're like, oh, Triple G, he doesn't look old anymore. He looks like he's on the offensive. All of a sudden, he's tagging Canelo, and Canelo's not doing jack shit. It's like, how does that guy end up losing the fight?
So I see where you're coming from, and I think, to Bill's point, I think it was the way Canelo came back from being rocked that saved him the fight.
Those were impressive.
He came back both times. Like, he basically punched his way out of being dazed. And that's kind of what you want to see in that position. I see where you're coming from, though, because if you think about it, so I think both times that Canelo was rocked was round 10 and 11, back-to-back. So they had 9 rounds before that. So basically, the judges at the end, if I remember right, one scored the fight essentially 6 rounds to 6 rounds, and the other one had 7 rounds to 5 rounds for Canelo. To keep it simple, I know they multiply by 10 and 9 and all that shit, but basically the two judges decided had Canelo winning 7 rounds. So if you take away those 2 rounds that Triple G, we think obviously won in 10 and 11, they think he only won 3 of the first 9. So they thought the first 9 rounds was 6-3 Canelo, and I think that's where I have a tough time, where you can tell me that he won he won 6 of the first 9. Because if you're saying if it ended 7-5 and he won 10 and 11. And I think Max Kellerman said at the end that one of the judges scored the last round even, And then I think the last two judges scored it the way of Canelo for the final round because he said it was going to be a draw if it wouldn't have been that way.
Right.
So that means that Triple G won 3 of the first 9. I think that's where I have trouble seeing how he didn't win at least 4 of the first 9. I could see 5 for Canelo, and then ultimately ends in a draw again. Part of me wonders if they got so much backlash for the draw the first time because people thought Triple G won. I wonder if that played into this one, like they didn't really want to score it as a draw.
I mean, like I was saying, aside from those two where you say, "Yep, that was all Triple G," the other ones were a toss-up. I could have gone either way. Obviously, the judges felt the same. If anything, we were talking about it. I felt this one was more of a draw than the first fight. And I mean, so you brought up the first fight, and you brought up. I don't want to harp too much on the rigging. That's the dark side of boxing, and that's not something I like to bring up. But just that one judge that had it. Like, I could be wrong. I'll probably have to go back and look at it. I believe it was one of the judges had it 118, 114. That doesn't sound right, but they gave it so in favor of Canelo. Either you had two options: either it was rigged or that was an egregious, just breach of knowledge or ignorance, whatever you want to call it. Something was definitely going on there.
It was 118, 110.
118, 110. Good Lord, that sounds a lot worse. Yeah. One judge had it 118, 110.
Where the other two had it 115, 113 Triple G, and one had it 114, 114. So that's why it was a draw. One picked Canelo heavily, one picked Triple G by a round, and then the other one scored it as a draw.
Yeah, so, I mean, say what you want about that. Ironically, I think this one was more of a draw than the first one. But this one, I mean, I just an example of not envying the judges. That was a tough thing. That was a tough round to score. Now, again, to your point, Triple G might look like he's doing more action. I mean, if you just saw straight jabs, I mean, they had the numbers. It was like almost 200 more jabs that Triple G threw.
Yeah.
But what I gotta say though, because I mean, we can argue back and forth who won, who didn't. Say it a million times. Could have gone either way. I just liked how Canelo was not point fighting. Right? Mike Tyson came out. He had a pretty good saying. He was saying, I'll paraphrase. When I was fighting, I was a killer. These fighters nowadays are businessmen, right? And that's I think Canelo epitomized that, especially the first fight. I think he turned it on in the beginning. He turned it on at the end, and at the end of all the rounds, he picked it up. Right? He was playing to the judges because judges go, "Oh, that was close. Oh, Canelo was more active in the end, in the beginning." And the way people's brains work, you're gonna remember the thing that happened first, and you remember the thing that happened last, right? So that strategy, just to get into the judge's head. He got into that one judge's head. There's gotta be something to it. 118, 110. This fight, he came out guns a-blazing. I don't know if he maybe got his ego hurt. People calling him point fighter, businessman, whatever. He came out swinging. They both came out swinging, and I definitely think it was more enjoyable second time around. And I'll say it for the millionth time. Could have gone either way. I don't think it's egregious that Canelo won. No, I would agree. I think I agreed more so with the guy that called a draw.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's like any shock or like people should react as though like Canelo was not even in the running for a win. Like it should have just been Triple G all the way. I agree. It was a tight fight. The judges had a tough one to call on this one. I felt it should have tipped Triple G's way in both fights. To be in my opinion, but in this fight specifically, I think it should have tipped to Triple G.
And I agree with that. I think to Anthony's point, I think the draw in the first one was the more like shocking result than the one tonight. I don't have a problem with Canelo winning. I think the exciting thing is that both times in both fights, it felt like as soon as one fighter like was about to win the round, the other fighter did something to just make you question if they were going to win the round. Right. I think that's why it makes it exciting. And everyone has the person that they want to win, but at the end of the day, when you pay the money for pay-per-view, you want to see a good fight. And I think both times we've seen an incredible fight. So I think if they wanted to do a third one, people would feel that it's because it's going to be an incredible fight and not just a money grab that sometimes a third fight can ultimately feel like.
So, but okay, huh? We got a good fight.
I mean, at the end of the day, that's what you want to see. When you're shelling out $80 or $90, whatever the fuck it is now, to get a pay-per-view, you want to see a good fight. Luckily, the undercard fights were all getting finishes, so that's good. You got your money's worth there. But transition with shocking results. Bills, Browns.
Browns watch.
pull out and
Don't call it Browns watch.
they pull out a fucking tie with the Steelers in week 1.
That was just a perfect Browns. First of all, the entire game was just the perfect Browns game, just in general. But the fact that they tied was just
That's awesome. That never happens unless you're the Browns. Your first non-loss. We'll give you a tie.
Yeah, I mean, so they haven't won a game since December of 2016.
Yeah, it was over 500 days, almost 600 days. That they have not won a game.
That's just, I feel like that's just got to be depressing and demoralizing as a player. Like, yeah, I'm a professional football player, but I haven't won a fucking game in 2 years. Like, you figure you would just stumble across one win.
I mean, even as dreadful, and I would still like to see a stat, because I think for a certain time span, the Rams still had the worst record in all of football. But we never had an 0-16 season. Those titles can go to the Lions and the Browns. We never had that. So I feel the shit. I've been in the shit. I've been in the Brown. But we had that has been a almost 2-year span where we haven't won a game. So I can't really relate completely.
Well, it's probably because didn't they have 1 year like Derek Anderson? They were like 8-8, made the playoffs like miraculously. Like
Yep, because who drafted him in his fantasy the year after? Me.
You drafted Derek Anderson.
He was good that season before.
He went 8-8. Don't say he was good.
Whatever.
So this is the stat I sent you guys during the week that I just found hysterical. Was that the Browns on their last Sunday game against the Steelers, they were +5 in takeaways. Since they returned to the NFL, teams with a turnover margin of +5 or better have 132 wins, 4 losses, and 1 tie. The Browns are responsible for 2 of the losses and the tie. So in 3 occasions, the Browns have had 5 or more turnovers plus from the opposing team and have not won the game. If that isn't Browns football,
Browns watch.
We were joking about it today. The Browns. There's a play in the Browns game, and I'm trying to remember some of the specifics. Bear with me. They basically intercepted the ball at the
20.
The Steelers 20. They tried to return it for a touchdown because they knew God well their offense wasn't going to score. Well, during the return, there was a block in the back, so they pushed it back to the 35. Then the offense didn't move any yards, so they had to attempt a 50-yard field goal in the rain, and of course, got it blocked or didn't even make it.
They got it blocked.
If that is the most Browns possession in football I could ever imagine. And they still drew, and they ended week 1 with a record better than both TJ's Bears and Ben's Titans. So,
and we'll get in there. You know how much the football gods hate the Browns? In a year where I thought at least the Browns could have finished second to last. Nope. Give the Bengals a 2-0 record. Sorry, Browns, you gonna be numero quattro again.
Fuck EJ Green, just shit last 4 years when I arrived on my fantasy team. Play against him this week, 3 touchdowns in the first half.
He got 5 catches, 3 of them were freaking
touchdowns.
He's on mine this year.
Fuck
So,
Yeah, the Bengals coming out to shock the world, 2-0 start.
number 1 in their division. Ravens 1-1. Steelers, well,
0-1.
0-1. There you go. Browns 0-1.
Who did the Bengals play on Tuesday?
Oh shoot! I thought
The Ravens.
Oh, who did they just play? The Ravens.
Yeah, they just played
They played the Colts before that.
Yeah,
Played the Colts.
and they beat them.
Next,
So-
Colts are boo-boo.
Yeah. So let's go to our teams. What was that about Titans and Bears going 0-1? What was that, Mr. Bears gonna take the division this
Oh,
year?
fuck off.
Hot take.
So, okay.
Take.
So I have quite a few things to say about this Bears-Packers game from last Sunday. So, first half, I think everybody got to see what the potential is of the Bears' defense.
You should have changed your name to the Chicago Mex. Chicago Big Mex. That's exactly where it was going. Every defensive stat he could have had, he had.
That dude was a beast.
Gruden looked like the dumbest person in the world.
Problem is he fucking held out from Raiders camp, so he wasn't in any preseason. So his conditioning was god awful, and so they were going to limit his snaps, and it was very noticeable in the second half because he was basically non-existent. Roquan's snaps were limited as well since he had his little contract dispute for a lot of the camp, so he wasn't in any really preseason work. The play calling was some of the most atrocious shit I've ever seen in my life in a football game.
Oh, the play calling.
Yes. At one point, Trubisky, I think it was like kind of in the second half when Rodgers really started to kind of orchestrate the comeback. Trubisky had like 8 completions for 26 fucking yards. It's like, stop throwing these stupid-ass bubble screens. Jordan Howard's fucking shredding him for like 5 yards carry every goddamn time he touches the ball. Let him run. We get to like 3rd and 1. Oh, bubble screen. And then we just do nothing.
Yeah.
It was like, what the fuck are you doing?
You right?
Not running time off the clock. Hey, Rodgers, why don't you just come on in? You know you can't move one of your fucking legs. Just throw darts all over the field. Hits Kyle Fuller right in the breadbasket. He drills him in the chest. He could not throw a more perfect ball to Kyle Fuller, and he fucking doinks it. And doesn't even catch it. Like, that is the icing on the cake. That is ball game. There's like 2 minutes to go, and you drop the interception, and he throws right to you. It wasn't a bullet. It wasn't like so hot to handle. It was just like, oops, I missed time to throw. God, I hope he drops this. Kyle Fuller's like, yes, Rodgers, drop it. And then he just throws Randall Cobb right over the middle, 7-yard touchdown. Fuck us.
Fuller's had problems with his hands though before, but I do agree with you. The 3 of us were texting during the game, but there are a lot of times where it was like Jordan Howard first down, 2nd and 6 after a 4-yard game. Second down, they ran it again, then 3rd and 2. And then on 3rd and 2, they would just try to run a slant or bubble screen instead of just running it one more time. Like,
yeah.
The Packers' defensive line isn't that menacing. The Bears' offensive line was doing fine. Howard wasn't breaking off repeated 20-yard runs. But
no.
He was getting you enough yards of carry where if you ran it all 3 times, you're probably going to get it first.
And milk time.
And milk time. And one thing that always bugs me too is that I think in the first half, it worked because they weren't doing much. You're getting bubble screens working, and I get that Trubisky's new. And we talked about this a little bit too, and he hasn't mentioned it yet, but he's going to have stuff to say on this. One of my pet peeves is it's 3rd and 6, and you run one guy runs deep, then all your other routes are like 3 yards up the field.
Yep.
Like you're just banking on someone missing a tackle. And I understand that they're professional athletes, and you're hoping that someone makes a play, and you don't want to take a risk with the second-year quarterback on the where they're playing Lambeau, right? It's on the road. Whatever. But at some point, like you got to throw the ball 6 yards, like 3 more yards. You got to throw it across the 6. Like
Well, I think there was 2 separate 3rd down plays where it was 3rd and 5 or 6. 3rd and manageable, and they throw in the little out route, in the middle of the field, but the fucking receiver didn't go past the 1st down marker. He runs it short of the 1st down and then doesn't turn upfield and break at least a little loose so he can extend and get the 1st. How are you as a professional tight end, receiver, whatever, in the NFL, you don't run your route long enough to get a 1st? How does that make any sense?
I think a lot of it has to do, obviously we aren't quarterbacks in the NFL, but it has to do with like the drop process. So a lot of times the 3, 5, 7-step drops are all based on timing, and a lot of those plays are probably 3-step drops, and you kind of run based on your timing. And if you don't get there, I think it's more of the play calling. Like I don't know, we think it's like Madden where you can just hot route a guy, push the right stick in, and he just changes route to automatically go to the 1st down marker. I think it's like they call something where Trubisky has a 3-step drop, and like you got to be kind of breaking in your route the instant he hits that 3rd foot. And then if you're not the 1st down marker, you're not the 1st down marker. I think the play calling just ultimately needed to be better. And if you think Trubisky's the guy, and I get it's the 2nd year, and I get protecting him, and even with rookies, if this is your starting quarterback and this is your guy, I would rather you just take all the chances in the world and just baby him. Like,
yeah,
I mean, Peyton Manning's first year, they went like 2-14 or something, 3-13. He threw a shit ton of picks, but they threw him in the fire, and he turned out okay. Like,
well, he was throwing the ball more than 4 yards.
Exactly.
Rodgers throwing darts, and as much as I hate the play calling, and the Bears had every opportunity to close that game out. They had every opportunity in the world to close that game out. You cannot discredit what Aaron Rodgers did to us on one fucking leg.
Yeah.
On one leg, he shredded us.
I forget what me and you nominated for him.
I said MVP.
MVP. I forget. It might have been when we were talking about the standings, but with Aaron Rodgers, yeah, you can do anything. You literally can do anything. It doesn't matter if you're playing with Pee Wee children, Pee Wee Hermans, Team of Pee Wee Hermans. You have Rodgers out there. You're gonna win.
Pee Wee Herman.
I don't know where I was going with that. He's very elusive.
We laughed in our very first podcast we were talking about because Rodgers just got this $100 million deal, and I basically said if a guy takes you from 3 wins to the playoffs, he gets $100 million, guaranteed. He basically earned, like he showed you why he got $100 million on Sunday night, and I don't think anyone discredits how amazing he is or his greatness or anything like that. But when you have someone that, if they had like literally anybody else to quarterback, obviously there's Tom Brady and Drew Brees and there's all those phenomenal guys, but you can't say enough about what he did and just how good he is. And I think I mean, he was a easy MVP choice. So didn't really go out on a limb or just like set the world ablaze with that tape.
But what made it so amazing was I think people had visions of him missing the entire season again. I mean, how many times do people get carted off and then they come back? I don't. But see, so I forget who was. I think I was talking to Dylan about this. Just the fact that he thought something was wrong to the point where we had to cart him off. I wonder if there's something in the back of his mind. Obviously, it's not affecting him that much because he can come out for a performance like that, easy peasy. Give me my 100 million. But just for him to be that cautious, I wonder if there's a little, something in the back of his mind going, I'm kind of. I think I realize I'm kind of fragile. I think I realize I'm getting up there. I thought that was interesting because how often do you see that?
I think that goes both ways, though. I think he probably felt like that, but then the Packers probably went like, "Oh shit, we just paid this guy $100 million. Like, let's send him in." A lot of times very rarely do you get carted off anymore unless like it's a blatant.
They're being paranoid too.
You tore your ACL, like God forbid someone was paralyzed, like you broke your leg, like those are the types of you don't see someone getting carted off. And I think majority of the time, I mean, he got onto the cart. I mean, he came out and played, so I'm assuming that if they had just like lift him up and helped him off the field, that he could have just gone to the sideline like normally. I think the Packers were also being cautious, like we just paid this guy $100 million, like he's our season. If he goes down, you might not win 4 games. Yeah, I mean, Deshaun Kaiser's your backup. We saw how dumb he was. Like he had like 2 drives and he fumbled and threw a pick. Like it was 2 drives. So like, I mean, I think it was just them being cautious instead of let's just go take a look in the locker room. Whatever they did, X-rays, cortisone shots, whatever they ended up doing. And they said he was fine versus doing that on the sideline and just trying to make a judgment call based on, rubbing his knee and stuff like that.
Which is weird, though, that they would say he's fine because there was clearly something off. I mean, maybe they did that for his own sanity, right? You're fine. And they go, he kind of sprained this. It's not gonna, that's not going to affect him too much. But I think even right now, I don't think they've come out and said
he just practiced today for the first time since Sunday.
Right. But what I'm saying is I don't think they even said what it could be. I mean, I don't know if it was his knee or his ankle. It looked like it was his knee, the way they landed.
Yeah, it was his knee. But, yeah, I definitely think it was more precautionary. I think, you just invested $100 million guaranteed in this guy. They want to make sure that it's okay. I don't even know if they went as far as saying, like, oh, you're fine, just go. I think there was probably an acknowledgement of, like, and that's honestly, that's a tough conversation to have because you're down 20-0 at that point when he goes out. And it's about to be halftime. You're probably thinking in your head, like, okay, do we just take the L and just rest him so he's good to go, next week? And then he's like, no, fuck that. I'm going to come back and I'm going to play. And then there he came out.
Well, you know what? So even when Waters was in, he was getting manhandled. He was not doing that, what he did at the end of the game at the beginning, right? He got injured because he was getting thrown around. His offensive line was getting thrown around. So I think also, you can say, well, why the Bears lost, all this stuff. It's a game of adjustments and how you adapt. The Bears, for whatever reason, just said, hey, we're firing all cylinders. We're just going to keep doing what we're doing. Packers realized, yeah, we obviously can't do what we've been doing. They made adjustments. The Bears couldn't. And then, of course, you got the Rodgers magic.
Yeah, well, I think a lot of it has to do with Roquan and Mac both playing limited snaps in the second half a lot. They were not on the field. They were non-existent in the conversation. Not to say they didn't play at all, but when you're talking about how much they were playing in the first half and the type of impact they were making, because I think me personally, I think Mac went balls to the wall, as soon as he came into the game, and immediately made an impact, in the pass rush. Obviously made an impact with his plays, with the pick six and the fumble and all that kind of stuff. Like he was absolutely incredible, in that regard. But the shift happened in the second half. He starts playing a little bit less, trying to monitor his conditioning. And, now all of a sudden they're getting those extra 2 seconds that they didn't have, on the plays before. And in the NFL, 2 seconds is all you need. That's a cut. That's a little break in the route or something and kind of give the safeties and stuff a little head fake, free up some space. And for a guy like Rodgers, that's the only window you need. He's going to put that shit in there on a rope.
Yeah, I think he definitely wasn't 100% even when he came back. I think they just said he was good enough to play, and they did that. And, I mean, he even said at the end of the game that he was going to play this week. So he's one of those guys where he's like a Ben Roethlisberger, where he's going to play like literally unless they tell him you're not playing. Like, if he has any choice in the matter himself, he's going to play. And that's just kind of the way it is.
And he threw 4 picks against the Browns, and they still said, no, you're fine. So it's going to take a lot for him to come out.
Yeah.
You know what sucks? One of the teams that I had on my fantasy football, the guy I was playing against, he had Rodgers, Devontae Adams, Randall Cobb, and Mason Crosby. Guess who was winning in the first half? Me. Guess who lost miserably in the second? Me. So he needs to take that hint and get more damn players in the Packers offense, but
Well,
that was
he
a
did
bitch.
beat you.
So-
He did, yeah.
Well,
Shame on me.
it won't help you at all this week, but whoever that guy is has to go. All his players have to go against Vikings defense this week, so we'll see how that helps him in fantasy. But let's go through some week 1 scores. And then we can just kind of, if you have anything to say.
What happened to your Titans?
We'll get there. So Thursday night, Eagles beat the Falcons 18-12. I don't think that was a big shock to anyone.
I'm still shocked that their red zone offense is awful. The
The Falcons, yes. They got to figure out their red zone offense, and then obviously Devonta Freeman getting hurt
And Calvin
didn't
Ridley.
help. But
Let's get him involved. How about that, Falcons?
is he on your fantasy team?
He is not, but I have very high hopes for him.
Fair enough. All right, so the next game I have on here is the Titans-Dolphins game, the game that started at 10 a.m. and didn't end until like midnight. So they had like 2 or 3 different, just 2.5-hour rain delays. I think Mariota got hurt. We just sucked. Rain delays didn't help. Derrick Henry couldn't get anything going.
He's on fantasy.
It wasn't a good game all around. I think the rain delays really hurt. The Titans kind of had a good groove. Then they sat for 2.5 hours, and then they went back out. Then they sat for 2.5 hours, and to do that on the road, it's just kind of not a pain there. And Tannehill looked good coming back. He didn't look awful. So
Is Cutler still on that team?
no, Colors. He's in the booth. Right. Then the Ravens beat the Bills 47-3. I think the Bills are by far the worst in the NFL just after week 1 because that was. I mean, Nate Peterman must have the worst stat line ever for a quarterback that started 2 games.
And you know what? Like I can't. Yeah, I don't know how you react if you're a Bills fan. You go to the playoffs for the first time since like Nam, and then you come back the next season and you do that. That is awful. There was I remember a video of a dude after they clinched the playoffs, whatever the hell, the playoff berth. The guys were screaming like, "I want Brady, I want the Patriots." Yeah, what's that guy screaming now? I want. Nah, I'm not gonna get dark, but I want to win. Oh man.
Nate Peterman's stats. These are, I guess, career games, regular season. 43% completion percentage, 2 touchdowns, 7 picks.
God.
He's got
Bills don't play for NFL.
He's got 7 picks in only 67 attempts. So basically, 1 in every 10 throws he makes, he throws back. That is pretty. That is just horrible for that. So
that is why he is not starting this coming game.
Then we had the Jags beat the Giants 20-15. I think
That's a good game.
both teams look good. I know I picked the Giants to finish second in the division behind the Eagles. That their defense looked good. The Jaguars' defense also looked good. Bortles didn't play awful. I'll give you that. But Barkley looked good against arguably a top 3 defense in the league.
Yeah.
He had the one good run, but it was enough to break over 100 yards, a touchdown.
Yeah, to be fair, outside of that one run he was pretty quiet.
Yeah,
he had a fair amount of carries for basically no yards.
He did have the 68-yard run, and he ended with 106 yards. So he basically had 40 before that. Yeah. So he had 17 carries for 40 yards, and he had 1 for 68. But he ended with, it doesn't matter. He ended with 18 with 108 touchdowns.
It doesn't matter how you start.
Yeah. And then Buccaneers Saints, I think Ryan Fitzpatrick kind of came out of the woodwork with his beard to just surprise everyone with his literally the best game he's ever had in his entire career.
4 hundo and 4 TDs.
You know what?
And he ran for a touchdown.
You call me crazy, all right? So they just inducted a punter into the Hall of Fame, right? Now I don't think this past thing was the year prior. So they're making all this. The team is complete. I don't think the team is complete without a backup QB. Hall of Famer, backup QB, Ryan Fitzpatrick. Every team he is on, he puts up points. Maybe not that much W's, but points.
So you're thinking that there should be a position in the Hall of Fame for a backup quarterback?
Why not?
Then you go in as a backup.
Yeah, give some love to the Case Keenums of the world.
So
I think Nick Foles is my example.
Nick Foles of the world. There you go. He's a borderline starter.
So is Fitzpatrick. He's starting.
Isn't everybody that's a backup?
I'm just saying. Every time he's on a team, he does good, puts up points, and then they go, wait, Fitzpatrick? Yeah, we drafted this guy aside, bro. I know you got us a couple wins. Let's see it. Go to different team.
As nice as the gesture is, Golf, I don't think there's any way in hell I would ever support that or that will ever happen.
Okay, well, thanks for saying it was nice.
Because at that point, where you draw the line, just backup running back, just.
I don't know who you get that.
Yeah, that backup center was really important for team morale, so let's get him in there.
All right, whatever. Keep going.
Patriots beat the Texans, also a good game. I don't think anyone's shocked, but Texans did keep it close. Their defense is obviously good.
Kind of rocky at the start. That was when I was watching because I want to see Deshaun Watson's return to glory. He kind of had a rough start.
Yeah.
I actually changed it to a different game, but by the end, 27-20. I'm glad he did come back.
Didn't look great in the beginning, but he did. It was close. Then the Vikings beat the 49ers 24-16. I don't think anyone was shocked there. I think same thing with Garoppolo. I think he kind of started slow and then kind of figured it out. Again, he did play one of the best defenses in the league. So
I was kind of a little bittersweet for me. I'm kind of glad he knocked him off his high horse, but I think that's exactly what he needed, was to kind of come back down to earth. You got your first loss against a good team. It's not like it was some scrubs. Yeah. So now, a little less pressure on you. You're still the starter, but now no one thinking you're Jesus.
Yeah. Bengals spoiled Andrew Luck's return, beating the Colts 34-23 in Indianapolis.
I had them. Yeah.
What the fuck was that a surprise?
I'm kind of with
Bengals. I had the Bengals.
The Bengals were not going to be good at all this year.
I had them under the Browns.
So that's your first mistake.
I did too. I know the Browns are better than the Bengals.
But the Bengals 2-0.
Just forgotten that the Browns are the Browns.
They beat them well.
I never got the Browns. I just thought the Bengals were going to be the shittier version of the Bengals.
It's like, I didn't think the Bengals were going to win the Super Bowl, but the fucking Colts are garbage.
Apparently, Andy Dalton remembered he had AJ Green.
They're garbage, but Luck's one of those guys too that when he plays, he gives you a chance to win.
So it's Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Apparently.
But I was surprised at that one. But there you go. Good job, Brown. Bengals.
Yep.
Not Browns.
Now 2-0 now.
Good job, Browns.
2-0. They already won this week on Thursday night, so Bengals are off to a good start. Steelers and Browns we already touched on. Obviously, they tied. Chiefs beating the Chargers 38-28. Patrick Mahomes looked as good as advertised.
Was the Mahomes run derby. I was sitting on that one for a while, but he came out first week. I got to use it.
He came out. He threw one ball that just you couldn't even see it on the screen.
He's got a fucking cannon.
He does.
God.
And then Tyreek Hill just looked like this. He looked like he just was a light years faster than everyone else in the field. Just anything he did, there's just no chance of going to him.
It looked like you were watching it in fast forward.
So
Mahomes was apparently a genius of a quarterback. Oh, who's my best player? Tyreek Hill? Yeah, I'll give it to him.
So just a reminder for our listeners out there, although Bill may be right with the Browns and he's right in their Ohio shows he got to draw.
He's not right with the Browns.
He did pick the Chargers to win that division while TJ and I picked the Chiefs. So
okay.
Chiefs are off to a good start in that division.
I was not going to be surprised if the Chargers, that was all going to be up to Mahomes. And yes, it was one game. He came out strong. I can't argue with that.
Broncos Seahawks rematch in Super Bowl a couple years ago. Broncos ended up winning 27-24. Case Keenum had flashes of looking good and bad. I think he ended with like the same amount of
3 TDs, 3 picks.
3 TDs, 3 picks. So he had flashes of being good. Obviously, Russell Wilson looked good. I just think that the Seahawks defense obviously isn't as good as it's been.
Oh, I think they lost all their big names: Michael Bennett, Earl Thomas, Richard Sherman, Cam Chancellor.
Earl Thomas is still there. He came back for that game.
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
I saw a graphic.
Well,
no, the graphic said he wanted to go to Dallas.
Correct.
He wants to go to Dallas. Oh, okay. I guess I didn't realize he was still at Seahawks. But
yeah.
But I feel bad for. In my mind, Denver has arguably the best 1-2 tandem of receivers ever: Emmanuel Sanders, Demaryius Thomas. I'm surprised they've been on that team for so long. For as long as they've been there, it's not like they got one, got the other for a season or two. They've been on there for a long ass time, ever since the Tebow days. I want to say. I could be wrong on that. That was a long time ago.
Emmanuel Sanders, I don't think was here for the Tebow days because wasn't he?
He was there.
Steelers?
Yes,
that sounds right. I know he was there when Peyton Manning was there.
Demaryius Thomas has been
there. Yeah,
Demaryius Thomas
he's been there since he's been a rookie.
But the thing is, those in my mind, I'm just like, you have these two golden receivers. They just can't get it right at quarterback. Keenum's pretty early. I guess I don't think he's really answered. Either.
I think they went in on Paxton Lynch, and that obviously didn't work out. So that anytime you go in on a quarterback, it doesn't work out. You kind of get set back a little bit. So
you gave me a little look about one of the best 1-2 tandems of wide receivers. Who
Well,
comes
because
to
you
your
fucking
mind?
said ever.
Not ever. I'm saying in
You
the
did
league.
say ever. You said ever,
Okay.
though.
Not ever.
That's why you look.
Not ever.
What the fuck are you talking
So
about?
not ever. I'm saying in the league in recent memory. That's probably your best 1-2 tandem.
I don't know if they're the best 1-2
No.
tandem in the league currently.
No, they're definitely not the best 1-2 tandem in the league, right?
Who'd you say currently?
Well, before today, and we'll get to it in a second, when Josh Gordon got cut, Josh Gordon, Jarvis Landry was pretty good. Or Adam Thielen, Stephon Diggs for the Vikings is pretty good.
I'll give you that one, but I'm talking about now as well as has been on the team for quite some time. They've at least played together for 5 years, at least. And in that stretch, they just haven't gotten it right at the quarterback position, pretty much rendering them just null and void.
I think when the Bears had Brandon Marshall and Alshon Jeffrey, that was one of the best duos in recent memory. They didn't do anything like playoff-wise, but just if you're just talking receiver core at a team, that was one of the better ones.
For some reason, I feel like we're forgetting. I feel like there are people. Obviously, like there was a time when like Chris Carter, Randy Moss were on the same Vikings team. Like that's just stupid.
Yeah.
Well, if you want more recent, I can think of like Fitzgerald and Bolden.
Yeah, that's a pretty good duo right there. No, I'm trying to think about they're
Martin Harrison and Reggie Wayne with Peyton and the Colts.
Yeah,
but that was a little bit before Sanders and Thomas' time.
Yeah, Sanders and Thomas are definitely good. I think a lot of credit to both of them for being on a team where they're both incredible. Because a lot of receivers, they are kind of prima donna type. Or like I can see OBJ being on a team with another level receiver. So like a lot of the top guys, Antonio Brown, as good as Juju Smith-Schuster is, like he's kind of the guy. OBJ is the guy. DeAndre Hopkins is the guy. Mike Evans is the guy. Julio Jones is the guy. Like they have good people behind them, but I don't think Mohamed Sanu is that great of a next receiver.
Next to Jones.
We'll see what Calvin Ridley is.
I was going to say, Ridley, I think, has potential.
So anyways, let's finish these scores here, and then we'll dive into next week. So the Panthers beat the Cowboys 16-8. Cowboys just look pitiful. They looked.
Well, you know what? I think we said it at the beginning of the season. This is the year that Dak makes the decision for himself. Is he the quarterback going forward?
You didn't look like it. Week 1.
Well, you know what? Even after this week 1 game, watching a lot of sports and all that, that's been one of the hot topics. Is Dak the guy?
And that was my hot take. I picked the Cowboys to finish last, and they look like the worst team in that division. Again, week 1 they played the Panthers. Panthers were a playoff team last year. That's how they just lost like horrible team.
No, it was 2 good teams.
Long ways to go.
Great defense.
We'll see. Dak's got to kind of figure it out. Redskins beat the Cardinals 24-6. I don't think anything was shocking there. The Redskins defense looked very good as we thought, and the Cardinals did not look good at all.
No, I don't. I think I said this also before anything started. I don't know why they just didn't start with Josh Rosen. I can understand if he's not ready. I think that's why I got him to play right away. I honestly haven't heard anything about him. I haven't heard how they liked him in the preseason. I didn't watch him in the preseason, but I think it was pretty obvious Sam Bradford was not your best foot forward.
He did okay. I think it's. I'm just speculating here, but I think the Cardinals are kind of like selling off as it might not be that great this year, but if Rosen gets to sit and learns a lot, and then we don't throw him in the fire, and then next year he's ready or close to being ready. And
we're building here, because then you get David Johnson back.
Yeah. Sunday night we talked on Packers beat Bears 24-23. Monday night we had the doubleheader that always happens first week of the season. The Jets beat the Lions 48-17. Despite his first pass being a pick six return to the house, Sam Darnold looked pretty good.
We were not kind to Darnold in our texts.
No.
But he came back. Hey, Dak.
Yeah, kid came back solid. He looked good after he got that initial, jittery pick six out of the way. He looked solid.
And
he
Stafford,
was slinging good throws.
And then Stafford made sure he erased it by throwing a couple of zones.
Yeah. Well, and that's what we talked about too with Rookie of the Year. Our last episode was that Barkley is probably for sure going to be good. And he's probably going to put up his numbers. But if Darnold is somewhere decent, given the fact that he plays quarterback and has, a little bit more control over whether his team wins or loses, he could be right there. And I think Barkley, 106 yards with a touchdown. Darnold didn't light it up. He had less than 200 yards, but he had 198 yards and 2 touchdowns. He went 16 for 21. He obviously had the one pick, but they won 48-17. When you win, it looks better on quarterbacks than it does on anyone else. So I think that puts him up there with it. And the last one, the Rams beat the Raiders 33-13. I think no shock there. The game was close in the first half, and then I don't know if Derek Carr was worth the money that they paid him, but we'll see what happens.
He's a potato. He's awful.
He's a
don't call potatoes awful because we're potatoes. We're cooked potatoes.
He is not good.
The Raiders overpaid. He's not their answer. Granted, I don't know what the answer is for the Raiders, but no. I mean, I think the Rams first half was rough, but second half they started looking like that well-oiled machine that they looked like a lot last year. Yeah, and kind of really got the ball rolling. Gurley, damn, he's just so good. Gurley is just an absolute monster.
The defense,
and that defense is gross.
I know. We had first half. None of our starters played the preseason. That was our preseason right there. Their preseason, and then came out second half like nothing. Didn't miss a beat from last season. One thing I will point out: the only time they even mentioned though the second current high-paid defensive player, Aaron Donald, was when he got a pass interference. Not pass interference, I'm sorry. Roughing the passer. There we go. Yeah.
Aaron Donald's in pass coverage. You guys are getting real just exotic with your defensive play calling.
As much as we're playing him, all three levels. Roughing the passer. Definitely something.
There's one on offense. Just throw them all.
No, all three levels.
Oh.
Defensive line, linebacker, QBs.
I was thinking like special teams, offense,
No.
defense.
No.
Aaron Donald's out there kicking field goals for you guys.
One thing I do want to touch on, I think we're pretty happy that lowering the helmet rule really played not into any of the games. I don't know. I know all the games I watched, it wasn't called. I didn't hear of excessive calling of it, if it was even called at all. But these roughing the passer calls, so talking about Aaron Donald, one time his name got called, I will call it a sack, because that's what it was, and what the ref says. Derek Carr still had the ball. He was getting pushed to the ground by the offensive lineman. He reached out, he grabbed him about shins, ankle area, tackled him. Again, Derek Carr did not throw the ball. It was in his hand. He sacked him. Nope. Because he hit him low, it was roughing the passer. That's a sack. I can maybe understand if he threw it and then Aaron Donald hit him low, because that's a high injury tackle. The ball's not even in his hands, protecting the quarterback, blah, blah, blah. The guy still had the ball in his hands. That's a sack.
Yeah.
That is a sack. How are you going to call that? Like, what do you want? What is a sack now? I thought I felt bad for the DBs. These defensive linemen, what the hell? How can they even win?
Well, they had that.
If you're going to call a sack roughing the passer.
It's like the new rule that they're calling this year, where it's like even if they get that out of his hand, the whole thing you can't like land with your weight being on the quarterback.
God, that's stupid too.
I'm trying to figure out how that's even. So you're playing defensive line in the NFL. You're 300 plus, almost guaranteed, right? How in the middle of tackling someone, I get it, like you could push them over, but like so. I think where the league gets in trouble is that 1 week you play someone like Tom Brady, and as great as Tom is, if you get near him, he's falling down, right? You don't need to light Tom up to take him down. You could basically two-hand touch him, he's going to fall to the ground. And that's fine. He does that to protect himself. But then the next week, you go and play Cam Newton, who's out there trying to truck people. Like, you can't do that to Cam.
Yeah.
And obviously, Cam's, he's kind of the minority in the league. Like, Breeze, Roger, everyone else kind of falls in that thing. Luck's a physical runner, as hurt as he is. Like, Mariota's going to scramble. Russell Wilson's going to scramble. So you have people in there that aren't just going to, like, fall down when you get near them. So it's like, you kind of have to change it up, I guess, is what the NFL's going to want them to do. But I don't understand how in the midst of tackling, when you have someone around them, you don't land with, I get not, like, pile driving them into the ground with your head. Like, how do you not land with your weight on them? You're literally tackling. Like, you're giving them a hug and falling to the ground. How do you not land with your weight on top of them? I don't know how. I guess my question is, I would like the NFL to demonstrate, just for the hilarity of it, how you do that. Because I can't even think about how you do that.
Well,
yeah.
Well,
I don't like it. I mean, I don't like that portion of the rule. I think it puts the defensive linemen at a severe disadvantage. They're already going to have it. They're trying to go through another 300 plus pounder who's strong as shit. Pushing you, grabbing you, trying to prevent you from getting to this guy, and you're doing everything you can to get to him. And if you get through, yeah, you want to put some contact on him. Yes, the whole thing, you can't like pick him up and then drive him into the ground. That's totally fair. That's a good rule. The other thing with as soon as the ball leaves their hand, you can't take like 2 steps and then just plow them. Like those make sense. Those are good, amendments to the rule. But yeah, I saw the play with Donald.
Yeah,
and that's bullshit. That's a sack. Like, what is he supposed to do? Just let him go? Like, just be like, no, it's okay. Like, if I touch you, I'm gonna have to touch you from the knees or lower. So I'm just gonna kind of.
Okay. What if he didn't touch him? Carr runs away, throws the ball down the field. See, no, this is what they want you to do. What they want you to do is they want you to enter the fucking Matrix. They want you to just slow down in time, do a 720 somersault to the fucking right, land on your feet, and go, oh, didn't touch him, ref, sorry. That's what they want you to do. But anyway, okay, we got a couple of minutes left. We'll speed around to this week's games, see what our thoughts are on them.
All right, let's go through, and then we can touch on the Le'Veon Bell thing when we get to the Steelers. So, Texans-Titans, first game on Sunday. I think the Texans are favored by 3.5. I think this game really just depends for both teams kind of how the season's going to go, because the Titans didn't look good, and if the Texans can't beat the Titans, then I'm not sure how high I am on the Texans. And vice versa, if the Titans lose their own to losing a division game, they're probably going to be third or fourth in that division.
I'm sorry, I'm going with Texans.
Texans.
As a Titans fan, they are at home, so I'll be a homer and pick them just to be different. Panthers-Falcons in Atlanta. Atlanta's favored by 6. I'm actually going to go with the Panthers on this one to not just cover the spread, but to win. That's my upset of the week. I think they're going to end up being the Falcons in Atlanta. Their defense is obviously still good with Keith and everyone on there. I mean, they just held the Cowboys to 8 points. It did hurt that the Panthers lost Greg Olsen, but I think Cam and Christian McCaffrey can really get it going and put some points up against the Falcons.
I'm a big fan of the Falcons. I'm going to have to say Falcons, especially at home. Again, they just need to solve the freaking riddle lead of Calvin Ridley, and then Julio Jones, and get in the red zone. All right, not my best effort. Whatever. Falcons. Go. TJ, go.
What the fuck? The riddle lead. Oh, boy. I'm taking Atlanta at home as well. I think Matt Ryan figures some stuff out with that offense. I think Ridley will make a good impact. Julio Jones is an absolute monster, so I'm taking Matt Ryan and the Falcons.
All right, then we got Colts-Redskins. I'm going to go Redskins. I think TJ and I were both kind of high on the Redskins coming in. I did finish them to pick third in that division. I think that division is tough. But just because they're going to finish third, I do think the Redskins are good. I think their defense is very good. And, it's really only Andrew Luck's second game back in 2 years. So
I take Skins as well. Alex Smith looked good. Defense looked awesome. I picked the Redskins to make the playoffs this year out of that division. So I'm sticking Skins.
Yeah, Colts O-line, I don't like them, especially against this defense. I'll give it to Redskins.
Eagles-Buccaneers. This one's interesting because Philly is on the road, but they're favored by 3.5. Obviously we're all U of A grads and we're kind of homer on Nick Foles, but I don't think he didn't really look that great in their first game. And the Buccaneers offense was moving. Ryan Fitzpatrick is out there with 4 passing and a rushing touchdown. I think the Buccaneers might win. I think I'm going to go with the Buccaneers at home.
That's my pick. I don't think Foles can keep up with the scoring of Fitzpatrick. Not saying he's going to put up that much points again, but I don't think Foles will be able to.
Because the Eagles defense is a lot better than the Saints.
Right.
I'm taking the Eagles. I'm sticking with that defense. I think the offense will get it done.
All right, then we've got Chiefs at the Steelers. Steelers favored by 5.5. And old Bill Hoy, I think the Chiefs are going to steal one.
Well, there you go.
I'm all in on Patrick Mahomes. I think he's just got a cannon, and with Kareem Hunt and Tyreek Hill.
Yeah, Tyreek Hill comes Mahomes.
This year they're going to get over the hill.
God, we can do these all day.
Well, I think the Steelers have too many Indians and no Chiefs. So, Chiefs taking this one.
Well,
not your best.
Well, on Sunday, Kelsey.
Wow. Head scratcher there.
Yeah, that wasn't your best one.
I'm going to go Chiefs.
Stick with the home runder.
We're all going Chiefs. All right, then we got Dolphins at the Jets. I'm sticking with Jets. Sam Darnold, rookie of the year right there. They're favored by 3 points at home.
Taking the Jets as well.
I'm really not a big fan of anything the Dolphins do. I don't like any of their decisions that they. I don't know.
Do you like any decisions the Jets have made?
Yeah, they started Sam Darnold, and the Dolphins still think Tannehill's their boy. Yeah,
Bowls.
Jets. I do the top Bowls, yeah. I go Jets, yeah.
Smoking Bowls.
Keep going.
Chargers at the Bills. Chargers favored by 7.5. The Chargers might win by 30 because the Bills are just off.
Chargers.
Yep. Chargers.
So they spent a lot of time. Vikings at the Packers. Packers are favored by 1, which I'm shocked at the spread. And granted, the Packers did come back against the Bears, but Aaron Rodgers is not going to be 100%. the Vikings defense is insanely good, and Kirk Cousins looked very good in the first game. I don't think there's any way the Packers win this game.
Yeah, I'm taking Vikings on the road. I mean, every division game's tough. Playing in Lambeau sucks. Rodgers is nearly unbeatable in Lambeau, but he's not 100%. And the Vikings are just so damn good. So I'm going Minnesota.
I don't know. It comes down to whose defense you think is better, the Vikings or the Bears.
I think the Vikings' defense overall is better than the Bears.
I also think the Vikings' offense is better than the Bears.
I agree with that.
Yeah. One Packers. I'm sorry. Rodgers can make anything happen. I think I'll go Packers.
Believer. All right. There we go. Bills game of the week. Browns at the Saints. Saints at home, favored by 9.5.
They could win by 30.
They could tie at 30.
Yeah, I'm kind of torn, to be honest.
What the fuck are you
I was going to go with the Saints.
I'm kind of... What the fuck are you
The
saying?
Saints are going Josh Gordon.
The Saints gave up 40 points to Ryan Fitzpatrick. Don't want to put him in the Hall of Fame to go back and quarterback. I don't know what you think. That's how bad their defense was.
Yeah, because Fitzpatrick to beat the fucking defending Super Bowl champs.
True. That's because the Saints are awful. You made me look good.
I'm going with Saints. I'm sorry.
I think the Saints are going to win, but if I was betting, I'd pick the Browns to cover the spread. I think it's closer than 10 points.
No.
Nope.
I don't know. The Steelers had a lot of stuff going wrong for them. I don't fucking know. I'm going with Saints.
All right, I'm going Browns. Baker Mayfield plays second.
I would be very happy with that.
All right,
so with the Saints.
Lions.
Touche.
Lions at the 49ers. Niners favored by 6 points. I'm going 49ers all the way.
Yeah, Lions blow ass. Jimmy G taking it.
I agree with the Niners, man. I don't know what the Lions have going for them, to be honest.
Nothing.
They just have Stafford.
Yeah,
That's
the answer
it.
to that question is nothing.
They go, oh, we don't have this on defense. We don't have this on offense. But we have Stafford. Let's just keep trucking.
The best thing from Monday night was they had Eminem do the coin flip. That was like the most talent they had in the field the entire night.
Tell me why I wanted to do that too.
So we have Cardinals at the Rams. Rams at home. Basically 2 touchdown favorites, 13.5. The Rams might cover it by another 2 touchdowns.
Yep.
Rams are going to cover it, and I think we're going to see Josh Rosen.
I wouldn't be shocked. The only way maybe Bradford has some ill will with the Rams. Slings
We
it.
paid him. He can suck it up.
That's true.
The only thing that he's going to be slinging is his arm when he gets injured.
Patriots at Jacksonville. This might be the game of the week. Patriots favored by 1.5 on the road. This game was a very close game. I think we looked at this up last podcast. So it was like 24-20 in the AFC Championship game. Jaguar defense is obviously very good. They're playing at home this time versus being at Foxborough. I'm going to go Jacksonville just only because I don't think the Patriots looked as good week 1. And they just have no... Philip Dorsett is their best receiver weapon right now. With no Edelman, they got rid of Amendola. Like, if it's not like James White catching the pass or Gronk, they did put 27 up on the Texans, who have a good defense. I think the Jaguars' defense is better. And if the Jaguars can score a few more points at home than the 20 they scored last time, I think Jacksonville could win it probably like 27-24.
I mean, I know the Jaguars beat the Giants. This could be just because I don't follow the Jaguars, but I mean, didn't they get rid of like all their receivers? Robinson, Hearns, their running back. He's going to be a game time decision. Without him, I'm going to say with or without him. I'm still going to, and it feels like I'm going with the quarterbacks here, but I'm going New England with Brady. It doesn't matter if he doesn't have a receiver. They bring up a receiver from, Schmotown or whatever.
They'll sign Josh Gordon.
There you go. They'll sign Josh Gordon. That's all they need. You said I thought Dorsett? That's all they need? Gronk?
Gronk went over 120 yards first game with a touchdown. I'm taking Tom Terrific and the Patriots.
Hard to go against the Patriots. I just think Jaguars are. So, Bill, for as much as you enjoy Bortles and the Browns, you didn't pick Bortles or the Browns to win this week. So.
Bill was quickly realizing that those were fucking stupid picks. He's starting to think with his head.
Browns are going to do better than last season. And
they didn't win a game.
Well, they didn't lose a game yet.
That's true.
And again, without Fournette, Bortles, I don't know if you can lead them to the promised land.
What quarterbacks were you hating on besides Flacco?
Cousins.
Oh, that's right. He looked pretty good.
And then he drafted him for one of his fantasy teams.
That's right. There's a little wishy-washy feelings over there. All right, let's finish this up. So Raiders at the Broncos. God, the Raiders just look so bad the second half of Monday night. I think I'm going to go Broncos.
Yep, Broncos all the way.
Their favorite 6.5, and I'll probably cover.
There's going to be some growing pains with Gruden, but for now, yeah, I'll stay with Broncos.
And then Sunday night, as always, it feels like, whenever they play, Giants at the Cowboys. Cowboys favored by 3. I think the Giants win.
This is my upset. Yeah, I agree. I think Giants.
Yeah, the G-Man all the way.
I don't know what the Cowboys showed in Week 1 to be favored by 3. I get they are at home, and I get the Giants lost.
I think the fact that they were close to a team with a great defense, the Panthers, and a pretty damn good offense, I think that kind of shows more than what they did show. But the fact of the matter is, it's going to be on Dak's shoulder. Zeke didn't look 100%.
That's fair. The Giants also played a team that probably had a better defense than Jacksonville and made the AFC Championship game. But
I'm going to go with Giants.
So Monday night, Bears on primetime again. See if they don't choke this one. Seahawks at the Bears. Bears favored by 3.5. I think I'm going to go Bears home opener. I'm going to go with the Bears.
Taking Bears. Max going to get more playing time. Roquan's getting more playing time. First home game. We're taking it.
I definitely hate Seattle. With that said, Bears.
Fair enough. So we'll finish up real quick. So we talked about the Steelers and the Chiefs. That's a big game this weekend, and James Conner looked good. Real quick before we end this, the Le'Veon Bell thing. He's not going to play this week. They've already said he's basically giving up. I think it's around $900K a game that he doesn't play. Is how much money he's giving up.
Yep.
He's giving away basically $1.8 million so far. He essentially doesn't have to play until week 10. I think is there something? Yes, by week 10. Or they don't have to pay him.
Make an appearance.
Yeah, or they don't have to pay him at all. So I guess we'll go around the table and kind of give our opinions. 1, do we agree with what Le'Veon Bell's doing? 2, do we agree with his teammates calling him out? I'm sure you guys saw his teammates calling him out on
his
O-line. Like that, his O-line mainly. 3, if you are the Steelers, are you willing to trade him? What do you want for it? And if you're another team, do you want to trade for him? And what do you want to give up? So I'll go first. The first thing is I don't know I feel like Le'Veon Bell just agreed to a contract not too long ago. I do understand where he's coming from, where you want to get your money. That's perfectly fine. Running backs have a very short lifetime. You kind of got to get when you got to get it. That being said, I do see where the Steelers are coming from, where the 3 of the last 5 seasons he hasn't played week 1 because of suspension, on his own wrongdoing. Now I'm not saying he's a top 3 running back in the league in my book. He is incredible when he's on the field. He catches the ball. He does everything for the Steelers. But, he's requesting top running back money, and he's probably one up there talent-wise, but he's not as reliable when he gets these suspensions. That hurts the team sometimes, and I think that hinders you. And he played last season. He was phenomenal. I understand wanting your money. I don't think this deal. It's not like you're on your rookie deal. So I think if I was him, I would play. And it's easy to sit here, not making anywhere near the amount of money he makes to say you're making $900K to work one day a week with some practices. Like I'd be out there for fucking $9K if I could get it. So the next one is I'm not a huge fan though of the Steelers offensive line calling him out. I think it's you just kind of do the next man up thing. It's not if people want to hold out, they want to hold out. It's their prerogative. It's not affecting necessarily your money. The way you block is the way you block. If you're playing Aaron Donald, you're letting them through every time because you're awful. It doesn't matter how good the running back is, it's going to look on you. I think it's a lot of times just where I get that they want the team to be as good as possible. Some of that might be alleviated now with how good James Conner was. We'll see what happens. The third one, I think if you're the Steelers, and I think now if you were to ask me this question before, I would not have taken any deals to trade him. Conner looked pretty good. Granted, he did play the Browns. I know Bell, you're high on the Browns, and I think their defense is pretty good. But he looked damn good. And I think even if Bell comes back, we might see it's not going to be as heavy Bell. Before it was like 95% Bell, Conner were in there 3 points a game. It's not going to be 50-50, but it might be a 75-25 where Conner gets in there a little bit more to give Bell some rest. I wouldn't be totally opposed to offering a trade if it came up. I looked at this week, and I think the only teams really that should be interested are probably like the teams that have an elite quarterback that can win a Super Bowl now if they're missing one piece. I think those are kind of where I'm at with that is maybe the Texans, the Patriots, and the Packers. Deshaun Watson is elite yet, but running back's kind of a piece they're missing. They have an elite receiver. Watson can be dynamic. They have an incredible defense. The other 2 teams obviously have the 2 best quarterbacks in the league. Both are kind of missing a running back. They're playing guys that we've never. Rex Burkhead we've heard of, Jamal Adams we've heard of, but they're not Le'Veon Bell and the offense he brings you. I think I was reading though that you can't discuss a long-term deal with him, so you basically have to play him for a year, and at the end of the year, he could basically go wherever he wanted. So you would have to hope that you would win the sweepstakes for him. Now, obviously, they could do some. I'm sure, as long as the NFL didn't find out, be like, "We're going to trade for you, but you better sign with us." Or we're going to be like really pissed off, or just leak nude photos of your girlfriend or something. Do some shit to him. But if I was either of those teams and I thought I could win, I would trade a first, maybe like a first and a third or fourth, especially for the Patriots and the Packers. Like the Patriots for sure, that pick's going to be what, between 26 and 32. Like it's not going to be much worse than that. Like if you can get that in a fourth, and the Patriots do a great job finding people in second and third round that play like Pro Bowls anyway. So if you can get that for a guy like Le'Veon Bell, and now you had another weapon where maybe it's just Gronk and Brady, and obviously Le'Veon Bell and his marijuana problems don't really fit the Patriots profile, but that's kind of where I'm at with it.
Well, I think that the Le'Veon Bell marijuana problems don't fit the Steelers profile either. I think the Steelers are an old school organization, which is why I think you're kind of seeing this hardball being played between the two parties. I don't like the fact that he's holding out for it. I don't like it in any player situation, but I get it. You want to get paid top dollar and whatnot. If you perform, you want to get paid for it. I think where I think it takes a wrong turn is because they offered to tag him. That got him like $14 million a year or something like that. Some high amount. So he was going to get paid. It just wasn't. You take the average Joe type approach and it's like, well, I'll take fucking $90 to go do it. I don't give a shit. Like you're getting paid, $900,000 a game. Get your ass on the field, and But I understand what he's doing. He's trying to hold out and look out for himself. Or at least that's what I'd like to think he's doing. As far as the teammates calling him out, I kind of get it. I don't know. I feel like if I was on his team, I'd be like, you're telling me that you're too high maintenance or you're too above us to even fucking take the field with us. Like that's kind of shitty. And especially if I'm his O-line, I'm the one fucking in the trenches having the other 300-pound dude, jar me every play, to try and clear a path for you to run. It's like, show us some respect too. Get your ass on the field. And I think Connor having such a successful game the first game hurts Bell. Because now the Steelers are like, fuck you then. Don't play. We don't care. We'll save all that money and pay this kid.
But if it's the O-line, because the O-line goes, see, wasn't you.
So I think that Connor having that type of success, we'll see what he does against the Chiefs. I think he's not going to do as well because the Chiefs are 10 million times better than the fucking Browns. But I think that hurt Bell. I don't know if I would trade for him if I'm another team. Primarily because I don't want to do the off-the-field bullshit with him. Like, I don't think he's worth it for what I can get out of a couple of other guys that I can pay probably more than half as much. Or less than half as much, I mean. Why deal with that kind of drama and bullshit for a guy that potentially at the end of this year isn't even going to play for you?
Okay, yeah. I mean, Le'Veon Bell wants his freedom. He wants to be a Liberty Bell. No? Okay. I'll keep going.
Liberty Bell.
Yep. At the end of the day, no one's going to look out for you. You need to look out for yourself. If he doesn't want to get run into the dirt and then come free agency, Steelers still don't keep you. But all the other teams go, well, you have all these miles on you. You've been beaten up. Are you really worth, 3, 4, 5 years? So you got to do you. He's trying to get his money. He's not trying to be beat up. He still wants to play this game. His teammates, I get it. I mean, at the end of the day, Le'Veon didn't win. Roethlisberger didn't win. Antonio Brown didn't win. The Steelers won, right? And if Bell is hurting that, then he's hurting the whole team. Again, though, as we mentioned, Connor, if he fits the bill, if they don't need Bell, then to hell with him. They can win without him. Steelers still win. Steelers, well, they didn't win, but
if he fits the bell.
If they fix the bell. Yeah, there you go.
No, if he fits the bell. You know what you said?
No, I didn't mean.
He said if he fits the bill.
Oh,
just a little accent.
Oh, I thought you tried to fit a little another fun in there saying if he fits the bell.
Fits the bell, yeah, that'd be funny.
No, it wouldn't.
But in terms of where he should go, the Jets. And they got Bilal Powell. They have Isaiah Crowell. You got your quarterback, right? You're working with the pieces you have at receiver.
You think
Okay. I'll give you that. It was only one game. But get him some help. Get him some more receivers around him. Get him some. I mean, Paul and Crowell, they're workhorses. They'll help you out, but they're not gonna bust out like Bell can. I think he helps them a lot. Yeah, and I think hope he plays soon. It's on my fantasy.
The reason I think the Packers is that as great as Aaron Rodgers is, he's only won one Super Bowl. You get Le'Veon Bell on that team as another explosive weapon.
But that's also because they don't. Now that I think about it, I don't know how they're successful. Well, Rodgers. They don't work on the defense. So they don't work on the defense. They've had Clay Matthews since Nam. They never have a running back. It's always a receiver that's like, I want to run.
I feel like they have a Patriots type effect where Rodgers draws so much attention and he's so good, he can shred you. He opens up space for these kind of role player running backs to at least just eat up some yards for you. Eat up some clock.
But you know what? I think if you look at Rodgers and Brady, I would say that Rodgers, he does more, right? He runs. He throws deep balls every other pass. He does all this stuff. Brady doesn't. That's because I think Brady's in just a better system all around. They put pieces around him. Granted, it's around him, but they give him that. They don't even help Rodgers. And the dude constantly gets into the playoffs, and he does what he did, to the Bears.
I also think one thing that's going to go unnoticed that they both do is that, and this helps their defense, Rodgers and Brady don't do a lot of 3-and-out drives.
Nope.
They read defenses so well that they audible and they do all this stuff where they rarely do a 3-and-out drive. Like, that gives your defense rest. When you're playing rookies and you're doing, your defense stops them 3-and-out drive, they go back on the field, 3-and-out drive, they go back on the field. Like, that, it makes your defense a lot better when they're not on the field as much. Yep. Like, a fresh player, even if they're not as skilled, is always going to be better than a tired, skilled player. I mean, it's just how it is. And when they can they most of the time control the time of possession in the games they play, keep their defense fresh. And then I think when you have that too, it impacts. That's why quarterback's the most important position in football, is because they help your defense in doing that. So.
Yeah. I'm not saying Brady is not as good as Rodgers. I'm just saying I feel like the Patriots help Brady more than the Packers help Rodgers. That's all I'm saying.
I think Gronk's probably the best weapon on either team.
Oh, easily. Well, I mean, yeah. I'll give it to Packers. They gave him Jimmy Graham. He hasn't used them. I'm sure it's going to take some time to build a.
Well, granted, he's had Jordy Nelson the whole time and Randall Cobb.
And Devontae Adams, who could be a stud. But just neither team's had a running back. Like, if you get Le'Veon Bell back there, and Rodgers is like, he knows who the person is behind him. Like, I feel like sometimes you might turn around and be like, who the hell is this guy playing running back? like,
well, whatever you go.
You just have someone back there you get the ball to. There's some confidence there. So.
Oh, 1 yard? You mean to throw 20 yards? I got you.
All right. Whoa.
Hold on, we missed it last week. Gotta do a dad joke.
Oh my god.
There we go.
So Jimmy John's is freaky fast sandwiches. What do you call freaky fast Mexican food?
What?
Jimmy Jongas.
Do you make these up?
Yes.
Wow. I applaud you.
These are homemade.
Homemade Jimmy Jongas.
The homemade.
The homemade.
Alright, well, we'll go ahead and end right there. So thank you guys for listening to episode 3. Again, as always, this will be posted up on you're listening today, which is Monday. So we'll have clips throughout the week. So make sure you're following us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, all the social media. Come and like us. We're getting our podcast posted. We're now on Apple Music, so you can find us on, or Apple Podcasts, you can find us on there. We're also getting work to get on Spotify and a few others. So once we get on there, we'll tweet it out, put it on Instagram, everything else. So you guys can find us on a ton of different platforms. Listen to us whatever way works best for you. So thanks for listening. Please follow or retweet anything you do. Please comment on our stuff. Send us messages. Interact with us. We want to answer questions or get your guys' input. Stuff you want us to talk about, we can do that also. So thanks for listening, and we'll see you guys next week.